Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Kevin Gregg Show. So glad to have you here. This is a show that features conversations to help listeners reflect, rebuild, reinvigorate, and reinvent their lives. We talk about a variety of different topics, including Christianity, business, history, art. This show helps you strive towards that which God has created you for. Good morning. Glad to have you with us. Um, when people join us, if you have anything to say, you're more than welcome to join in the chat. Um, Glad to have you with us. I'm just going to double check some settings, especially as I'm doing this on the fly and getting used to how all of this works. Couple of things that are on my mind. I will have to tell you this: I'm super grateful for structure more than anything else. Um, Man, I had a thing this morning. I got up and got on the scale. You know, a lot of people that are going through things. Uh, I saw this on a another podcast I was listening to. Um, average amount of weight that the average American has gained during COVID. Um, what do you think? I'll answer it for you. 29 pounds. 29 pounds. The average American has gained 29 pounds during COVID. I got on the scale today and realized that I have gained about 20 of those. Uh, I know people might look and say, you don't look it, you look great. And actually, I'd started out this entire season doing pretty well. I'd been on a ketogenic diet for about pretty close to a year beforehand and was doing pretty good. I think in the beginning of this, I don't know, 4 or 5 months in, I had maybe gained about 6 pounds. Um, ketogenic Ketogenics are a very interesting thing, right? You have to be very specific with it, um, and it's a challenging diet to remain stable on a regular basis. I was definitely messing around with it a lot during it. At some point, I eventually just got off the diet, and oh boy, finally came back. I guess a couple of things that sort of uh, were on my mind that I wanted to talk about. That it's not just a show that's about weight gain. um, Today is this. I'm just really grateful that I've got certain structures that are in my life right now. Um, because we go through these periods where we just sort of feel low. We just feel down on ourselves. And especially getting on that scale this morning, it was one of those things where I just went, oh, I can't believe it. Um, and I don't know what your situation is. Um, I know for myself, when I take a look back, I have had these moments where um, weight gain is usually coincides with a change that's about to happen for myself. And usually the weight gain happens um, because I've gone through a period of stress or depression or frustration. Um, what do? We look to comfort ourselves. We look for those things that you just go, yeah, that feels good in the moment, eating and tasting it. There's a correlation between weight gain and a whole bunch of different stuff, right? We try to numb ourselves forever. Forever? No. Um, I remember when I was a kid, I uh, I was a pretty healthy, slim, active kid. When I got into the age of when I got to 12, um, no bueno. I had a really rough year, my seventh grade. We had a teacher, God rest her soul, Sister Kathleen Marie. Um, there's a longer story behind this, which I won't get into this morning, but it was a stress filled year. That year was Sister Kathleen Marie versus the seventh grade class at St. Ambrose School. For some reason, she had it in her mind that we were a rough bunch of kids that were coming in. though we really weren't. You know, we had a lot of independent thinkers that were in our grouping of students at St. Ambrose School. And I'm going to speculate for a second. I think that there was probably a little bit of talking amongst some of the other nuns up at the convent, thinking these kids are trouble. Sister Kathleen Marie was she was straight out of Boston. She loved JFK. She loved all this stuff. She was a character. But for some reason, she got it in her head that she was going to go like full tilt with us. And full transparency with this was Sister Kathleen Marie. We'd heard nothing but like, oh, she's great. She's an eccentric teacher. She's all these things. Something, something turned the year that we got in. And oddly enough, the year after our class moved on, heard nothing but raving reports about her later. Here's my point. That seventh grade year, 12 years old, oh my gosh, so much stress, anxiety, just like yelling, screaming, never knowing what was going to set her off. At one point, no lie, and I'll tell the longer story on another episode. Um, she went on strike. She went on strike for a week, where somebody didn't answer a question correctly, and she said, "I'm going on strike." And she literally walked out of her room, and then she gave us the silent treatment for an entire week, and then asked certain students like myself and another student, like we literally had to teach the class. It was just nonsense. My point with all this incredible stress, uh, I gained a ton of weight. When I look back at my St. Ambrose uh, pictures for seventh grade, I I just completely ballooned up, and I was just so crawling out of my skin, and the only way I could get through it was just by putting on all this weight. And then I went the complete opposite way, probably like a year later. Can I tell you what the best year was for me? The summer of 1985 um, was so amazing for me because I finally got out of the. And again, this isn't. Um, do I think that Sister Kathleen Marie, had was an intelligent woman, had a lot to offer? I know for a fact that she helped several different students. There was one student specifically who was having a lot of problems with math and understanding like complex division and formula, and she spent so much spare time helping this kid get through it. So she definitely had her qualities. I didn't get to see that side of it. Instead, I sort of lived in, you know, kind of terror for a year. Um, but that summer of 1985, once I got out of that class and into the summer, it just felt there was just so much relief. And that was the same summer like Back to the Future came out, and I just really enjoyed that movie. And just like, I just remember that feeling of freedom and just like, oh, I made it. I made it. Anyway, what's my point with all this? This isn't just a show just about weight gain. Usually, when that type of stuff is going on, um, something else is happening, right? Uh, and yeah, there's been a lot of stressors that have been happening in our home over the last year, right? I've got a son with autism. Uh, by the way, and I will make no apologies for this, I record this early in the morning so that I've kind of got some time to myself. Occasionally on the show, you're probably going to hear my son, Duncan. Uh, he's almost 22 years old with autism. Occasionally, you hear sounds in the background. It's him, it's part of it. I'm just going to be transparent. You know, if you hear it, you hear it. That's what it is. That's who Duncan is. That's the situation that I'm in. And this is about practicing in public, showing up every day, not every day, but showing up on a consistent basis to be able to deliver this show and content to you. Um, I'm just super grateful for structures that I have. even when I don't want to do something. Doing this show on a semi regular basis is also based on the fact that I'm able to show up with a group of guys a few times throughout the week in order to do prayer devotionals. I had actually just stepped off of it a little while before I came into this show. Um, and I know that I'll get on the other side of it, right? It's just like consistency, it's showing up. What happens all the time? We get these moments where the enemy, and let me be very clear about who the enemy is. Stephen Pressfield refers to uh, the concept of resistance. Like whenever you start striving towards something new, that resistance will come out. I'll just call it for what it is. It's Satan, right? Satan, which is the antithesis of God. It is evil. It is anything that's withdrawn from God. It is Satan is a an entity. Satan is someone that does not want me to succeed, strive, head towards what it is that God's calling me towards. That type of resistance that comes from Satan wants to do anything that is not of God to get me off track with whatever I'm doing, whether that is depression, despair, anxiety, fear, anything that is not good and forward moving. It's not from God. If it's not from God, then it's from Satan. Um, and there are times where, and listen, we can, and we're also a part of this. We're also a part of this as well. How many times do you not want to do the thing that's good for you, right? Ultimately good for you. We don't want to do it because there's also pain, frustration, things are uncomfortable that we have to do in the middle of it. And we get these wild visions of what we're supposed to be. I was thinking about the movie The Matrix today. There's a great scene in that movie where uh, Morpheus, it's the Lawrence Fishburne character, plugs in Neo, that's Keanu Reeves' character, plugs him into the Matrix for the first time, and he sees himself. Now, Neo in the real world has just discovered that he's been, plugged into a huge network of this computer network where they've been basically using human beings as batteries for hundreds of years. Neo has been unplugged, and so he's in this ship that he's been rescued in, and he is scrawny and pale, and he's just been living off of, you know, basic sustenance that these computer machines have been giving him his entire life. Once he gets plugged into the matrix, he sees himself, and he sees himself as like a little more young, healthier, robust. He's a little more muscular. And Morpheus makes the observation to say how you are seeing yourself. This is like this is your self image. This is the reflection of what you think you look like. And I think that we get caught up in this so much with anything that we're doing, whether it's in business, health, anything that we're doing, that we just go, oh, I see myself as being just like I'm a world class podcaster, or when I'm doing stuff, I look amazing, right? I had this moment just this weekend where we live near a school, and I saw I saw a lady that was across the way, and she was out there and she's like doing aerobics and all this stuff. And it kind of looks a little goofy. And the first thing that goes through my mind is not about the lady looking goofy, but I go, "Ugh, wow, I wouldn't want to be doing that because I would look goofy as well." But then I'm looking at this lady and she's like fully in it. Like she's showing up and she's doing the work, and she doesn't give a crap about how she looks because she's showing up to get the work done. Um, I think that that's just so important, of just like, and one of my buddies talks about this. There's something to be said about putting your head down, showing up, and just doing the work. Um, Again, it's a reminder to me while I'm here talking on this show. It's showing up consistently. What is that structure? What's that little thing that you can build in so that you're doing it again and again and again? Um, I've talked about that 6 minute rule or 3 minute rule I talk about on my other show, Your Creative Journey. But just the idea of just setting like mini timers for yourself just so that you can get work done. Um, I know that this is something that I'm going to be doing again, in terms of whether it's weight loss or exercise. It's just about showing up and getting the stuff done. But it only happens um, if I literally have that structure in place and doing some little version of it. Doing some little version of it is better than not doing it at all, you know. So anyway, I think that those are my thoughts this morning. Um, I get it. If you're going through that as well, don't do. I guess it's, this other thing is about not doing it alone, right? Um, the thing that has helped me throughout this pandemic when I've been showing up for things like those prayer devotionals is that there's like a group of people that I'm doing this stuff with. Um, Showing up and doing these shows is doing it with you and for you, with the audience that's listening and watching. Same thing with your creative journey. I guess the thing that I've got to tap for myself is, what's the bigger thing that I'm doing when it comes to overall health? This is something that I'm probably going to unpack in front of you guys uh, while I'm going through. Not just about health. Well, yes, health and finances are two things that I've got to address, that I'm hoping to deal with in smaller groups that will become available through this show, particularly the finance thing. That there will be opportunities for small group meetings and stuff to start building like that community of support to get things done in your life. Um, there you go. That's what I got for you today. So it just came to my mind that this is one of the themes that you're going to see going on in this show. What are those things that we're doing to uh, strengthen ourselves, to renew ourselves? And part of this is also about strengthening of the mind. Strengthening of the mind is a big thing because your thoughts dictate what direction that you're going to go in. And sometimes when you're building these new structures, when you're building these new things, uh, it's about showing up even when you don't want to. So I think I'm going to get off this, maybe go for a little bit of a walk, maybe even a run. Who knows? Um, but I just want to thanks. I just want to say thanks for showing up. Uh, be back again Wednesday morning, live streaming. Um, and if you have questions or comments that you want to share as we're doing this, I'm going to get to a point with this show where if there's something that's on your mind, um, I'm going to have you bring it up, talk about it in the comments, and we'll have a little bit of a back and forth. Um, there you go. Thanks for joining me. We will see you again on Wednesday morning. God bless you and have a great day. Bye, gang.